keep swinging, keep swinging, keep swinging. Was that a team that is undefeated or a team that can't win a game? Stay tuned to Snap Judgments presented by Buyers Auto to find out. That is Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. That was weird.
Very somber.
I don't... Like, this team hasn't lost the game.
Yeah, but they're not good enough on offense. We can talk about that.
I'm not saying that nitpicking is not warranted, but like, the sky isn't falling on Ohio State. I don't...
No, I didn't think that was a sky is falling press conference. You did?
Not from Ryan Day. I think the tone coming towards
the ground is opening up, perhaps.
All right. I don't know. Maybe
they're going to play maybe the best defense in the country in 2 weeks, and their offense stinks right now. I think these are valid questions.
Okay.
Half of their offense stinks.
They have the best passing attack in the Big Ten.
Half of the offense stinks. The other half is okay.
Best passing offense in the Big Ten that's not the compliment.
Half of the offense stinks. The other half is okay.
One is very bad, and the other is struggling with early efficiency.
Yeah,
I think is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
we'll see you later.
That's a good place to go. I mean, I think we can talk about that. I don't think it's wrong to suggest that there are areas that Ohio State can get better. It feels like there was not any, acknowledgement that there are things that are positive for Ohio State right now.
Yeah.
And Ryan Day was trying to make that point that even when it comes to the rushing attack, there's a lot of things that he can go down the list, but they don't feel like the personnel is bad. They don't feel like on the offensive line, they don't feel like the running backs can't do it. He said that there were certainly some calls that he wanted back. So, like, we can definitely talk about all that, and we will. But it's not, sometimes I sit through a half hour in there and can include my questions in this as well. And it's like, you forget that this team didn't play Penn State on Saturday, and they don't play them this week. And winning games is still hard and valuable. But maybe I'm way off base on that.
No, I don't think you're off base. I just think it's like everything. What happens if this doesn't get better, I think, is what is in the back of everyone's mind. It's certainly in the back of my mind. It does not mean that it can't get better. It just needs to. And the fact that they did not look tremendous coming out of the gates on offense against Maryland after having the week off probably creates some doubt in people's minds as to whether it can get to the level that it needs to get to for this team to win a championship. That's what it's about. Like, it's plenty fine for them to beat Maryland by 20 points. It's probably plenty fine for them to beat Purdue and everyone else they've played to this point. I don't think what we've seen so far is going to be good enough to beat Penn State and Michigan, and that's what it's all about.
Yep. Do you think – sorry, Berm, I'm going to let you go.
No. Do
you think in Happy Valley, when James Franklin is tied 10-10 with Northwestern, that the entire next week is like, well, that's not good enough to beat Ohio State? I mean, I don't know. I don't pay close enough attention.
No, that's a fair question.
I don't know, but they're different programs with different standards.
And their expectation is we have to get to Ohio State. Ohio State says we have to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Bill and I both, in today's press conference with Ryan Day, tried, I think, to get him to just talk a little bit about, like, are you changing anything philosophy-wise? Yes. And the answer was a resounding nope, not changing anything philosophy-wise, right? We've talked about it here before. We've talked about it after the Alabama game. Is it execution? Is it personnel? Or is it scheme? And today it seemed like he pretty firmly put it all on execution. That the players and the coaches are not doing a good enough job. He said multiple times he liked the scheme that they had against Maryland and thought it was the right scheme, but just didn't get executed correctly. Your question, which was, are you doing the things that this group can do, didn't get answered. Like, right. I don't know if this offensive line, which is the start of everything, right? That is the baseline of all of the offensive problems. If they're not doing things that they can do, how does it get fixed without a philosophical change by Ryan Day? And I asked him, like, the defense, Jim Knowles, we talked about it again with him today. Like, he has changed his philosophy heading into this season. Doug asked, like, if you can throw the ball like that, why not just throw it all the time if you can't run? Like, there is a moment here coming, whether it's Penn State, whether you get past Penn State and it happens at Michigan. There's a moment coming when Ohio State is going to be faced with the reality of the situation that they did not change enough to get better at what they're doing poorly. And that's what I'm concerned about as a guy who grew up an Ohio State fan and somebody who's watching this team. They don't seem to take the steps to get better, and that's what's confusing. Because you can say it, we're going to get better, we're going to keep swinging, but when nothing changes, then what? what are you supposed to expect? Then it's all just on execution. He said we have to coach them better. They have to So is that it? That's the answer?
I don't know that that's necessarily the wrong way to look at it. I think we would all three stand here and say, probably seen enough stretching the boundary. I don't think Ryan Day agrees with that. And part of coaching with, again, three new starters on the offensive line and a new starting quarterback is that they have to go do it and execute it and get reps in the game. Mm-hmm. And so I can sort of understand his perspective that, like, trying to come up with an entirely new playbook is probably not the best use of that. They've been trying to teach this one to these guys who are executing it for the first time, and they've only had the benefit of 5 games of doing that. And again, I'm not meaning to, like, pretend everything is okay with Ohio State or that the questions were out of line or any part of that today on a Tuesday in the Woody. It's just like there is a part of this where you have to continue to improve at it over the course of the year. Would you have said in 2014, like, that scheme's not going to work, like Taylor Decker he's never going to get any better, he's not going to block anybody? Like, you had to keep playing the games and get better at it and improve. So, like, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't. But the more I think about it, the less it's like, well, you have to just change the entire playbook to suit this personnel. Like, I don't know that will help the program.
And I don't think any of us are saying personnel changes need to happen. Like, these are your guys. This is who you've run with. If you're not changing it heading into Purdue, you're not changing it. We understand that. So if you're not changing philosophically, then how do you coach better or do you coach different? Like, is there a difference between different and better? Like, you are coaching this scheme. This is what you're doing. If you talked about it, Bill, like the Ohio State running offense seems to be better when it's just straight ahead and between the tackles and go. So why not just do that more often? Like,
yeah, because they do that. It's not a wholesale. That stuff's in the playbook, has been in the playbook the entire time Ryan Day has been here. He chooses to accentuate wide zone runs because of all the stuff they give you off of play action, which I think is sound logic so long as they actually run play action pass. I would contend they don't do enough of it to warrant how much they run that particular run play. And also, they're just not good at it. So why do you keep doing it? Which is what I tried to ask Ryan Day in a way that was, like, less combative than the way I just said it, like trying to get information. And I don't know, I guess he didn't really want to go there. I thought he did. Like, this is not the first time we've had a press conference like this where we're just sort of like, what's up? And I think when we've had it in the past, I think it's been all execution. I actually thought there was more ownership of play calls and scheme today than maybe we've heard from him in the past. What does that mean? I have no idea, but I wanted to at least acknowledge that because that did feel a little different to me.
Yeah. It's a hard one to wrap your mind around because I certainly understand the temptation to look at what happened on Saturday, which, again, was a 20-point win over a team that Berm said is the 4th best in the Big Ten. Like, that should count for something, and they figured it out, and they scored 37 of the last 44 points.
Something. I mean, it does count for something. You saw improvement in the second half.
They were really good in the second half, yeah.
And so the question is, and defensively, they were pretty good, especially in the second half. Like, so the problem is, I think, for most people is that you didn't seem to look all that different from week 1 to week 5, right? And that, to me, is the biggest head scratcher. So
I think they did. I think the passing attack was dramatically different.
I don't know. I mean, Kyle McCord's certainly more comfortable in rhythm and throwing the ball, but it's not like he came out of the gates, humming or anything like that. Offensive line looks pretty much the same. It was a 20-point win in week 1 against a bad Indiana team to a 20-point win in week 6 against an okay Maryland team, right? So, they're 4th best in the Big Ten, but they're an okay team. They're a top 35 team in the country. So, but the problem is you're Ohio State. So what is Ohio State doing to get better from 1 to 5? And that, it just doesn't show up on film or on Saturdays yet. So that's I think, speaking for America, also America, if you're watching this, please go to Twitter and tell Spencer Holbrook happy birthday. But, like, I think that's the concern for America who watches Ohio State. Like, hey, this doesn't look any markedly different from week 1 to 5. So how do you get confidence that it's going to look different from 5 to 7?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main issue is that it just doesn't look like it normally does. Like, I don't think it's a bad offense. Like, the fact that they do lead the Big Ten in passing is, like, worth mentioning.
In total yards.
It's like they're not
with one
fundamentally broken. There are some, like, process questions that I have about the way they're choosing to go about business, but, like, the second half against Maryland was quite good, I think. And if you can build on that and, like, that's your offense moving forward, which was, I thought, more intentional play action pass calls that like get Kate Stover open and get Marvin Harrison open, and they just weren't doing a lot of that. Maybe they weren't hitting on it in the first half. Like it was odd to me that they continue to run stretching the boundary, and then like don't do the things that sets up after. But then they did get to it in the second half. So like if they're going to run that play, and they're not going to stop, right?
We know we
talk about it all the time. They're not going to stop. That's their play. That's fine. That's their bread and butter play. And a lot of the offense is built off of that. Then they just need to lean into that more. I think there was a little bit of a disconnect there for me in the first half of that game, but the second half was good.
Don't you prefer run plays that if you're going to lose yards on it, you lose 1 instead of 4?
They are not losing. The weird thing is like they're not really losing yards. They're just a lot of like 2-yard runs, which are
they're getting, I think like 1.5 yards before contact.
Yeah,
and then once they get contacted, that's the
it's
end.
down. Yeah, which is like it's not merely an offensive line conversation.
It's also some of the edge blocking with the wide receivers and with the tight
and it's
ends.
also running backs like run through a tackle from time to time. They're not doing that enough either. Like there's a lot going on with the run game. It's not, as Ryan Day said, like if there was one thing that was ailing it, I think they would fix the one thing. And it's like play to play, something different pops up. But I really do think they just cannot execute the play they want to run the most all that well. So I'm curious if they shift away from it at all as we move forward here.
Which we know they won't. So what else do we hear today?
Emeka Egbuka
didn't sound like he was going to play on Saturday, right?
The way that was described, when Ryan Day says it is not a long-term issue, that means, generally speaking, that person is not going to play on Saturday.
It's a near-term issue.
It is a short-term issue. And we mentioned this the other day, coming out of it. If it's dicey and you're playing Purdue, you don't have to push it. Again, Ohio State is a 19.5-point favorite going on the road. Yes, Purdue and Ross-Ade Stadium is a place where weird stuff happens, but Ohio State should win that game with or without Emeka Egbuka, and the Penn State matchup is far more important. So, as I stand here right now, I would say Emeka Egbuka unlikely to play. We'll see. The two things that Ryan Day says that you have to pay attention to when he says them. Not long term. We'll evaluate it as the week goes on. That means Emeka Egbuka, as we stand here right now on a Tuesday, is not going to play.
That would be my guess, which is fine. Like I guess you want them, right? You want them whenever you can have them. I think this is a game where you can maybe afford to not have them. What do you think it means if he doesn't play? Like just like 2 tight ends all the time and Julian Fleming, or like do we see Carnell Tate?
I think it's Xavier Johnson.
Xavier Johnson.
I mean, my personal preference would be Brandon Ennis in that role. I think that this is the perfect opportunity to take a kid who's already played 5 games, so he has no red shirt. Like, see what he can do. You're not going to lose at Purdue unless you do something crazy. So go out there.
I can't believe a lifelong Ohio State fan would say that.
This is a beat up Purdue team. Their weapons are not there.
There's no, so I actually wanted to ask you because if the only game of Purdue that I've covered was the Rondale Moore game.
Yeah.
The other losses were 2011,
2009, 2004, 2009, 2011, 2018. So 2 and 4.
What was the deal in the early 2 ones? What happened in those games?
Well, Cooper was in the 2000 year. That was his final year, and it was against Drew Brees. Okay, so it's not like it was a bad
and
team.
The God Joe Tiller.
And then ultimately the Cooper years, you just had Terrell Pryor, who played an awful game in 2009. 2011, I don't even remember. It was just a nightmare. 2011 was a nightmare.
Weird season. Yeah.
I mean, if you remember though, 2012, Ohio State had to have Kenny Guyton pull out all the stops to beat them the next year in Ohio Stadium.
Yeah.
So it's just this is not that Purdue team. Hudson Card is a capable quarterback, but he's been hurt. He played very poorly against Iowa because he's hurt. If Ohio State can hit him early in the game, this will be a comfortable win.
Should be.
So you should be able to get guys like Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate a lot of opportunity in this game to really see what they can do on the road in the Big Ten. Good environment. It will be early enough.
It's supposed to rain.
It's supposed to rain, so you'll get some.
Don't like it.
You'll get some opportunity for those guys. But I think my initial thought is Xavier Johnson is the guy that will fill in that role.
Yeah, if you're going
because
to West
Travion Henderson will be back also. So
if you're going to West Lafayette, you just expect the worst. I mean, that's far enough.
It is weird.
Last week, I looked at all weather all week, and I was like, I know it could. I even said it, I think, on our show on Tuesday, it could rain on Saturday, but I didn't bring rain gear because I'm like, it's fine. This week, if the forecast today said 75 and sunny on Saturday, I'm bringing rain gear.
Yeah, there's no chance that that's going to happen.
No matter what.
All right.
I did ask about Dallin Hayden, who is apparently redshirting.
That was a pretty informative answer.
I was thinking about that while we were getting set up here, and here's how I can see it. So, because I don't understand why you didn't play him last week. So he has 4 games, right? He's played 1. you can play him in 4 and still redshirt. So the explanation doesn't entirely add up unless you're thinking long-term and your expectation for Ohio State is Michigan State and Minnesota games are going to be light load days for your running backs to get ready for a hammer fest against Michigan, right?
Okay.
So maybe you're thinking he's your guy in those games. And then you have another one just in case of injuries or something.
I don't know that, I mean, we're speculating, so I don't know that I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm definitely speculating.
I think that it may well be a situation where you want every bullet available to you if you make it to the postseason.
Yeah.
And clearly, like, getting past Maryland wasn't a case where you had to break that Dallin Hayden glass and put him in there. So, whether that means it may not be the load management in November, it may be Michigan, Indianapolis, college football playoff. Like that may be the case, but
you never know. But Ryan Day said he's taking it fine. He's happy with the way things are, and that's really the important thing. There's 3 running backs in that room playing ahead of him. All of them are going to be gone after this season. So here's your shot.
I would tap the brakes on that based on what I was told.
I am pushing gas.
Okay,
He's all gas, no brakes, this guy.
I don't believe in brakes.
all right.
Oh.
I was told pretty
Anti-brake guy.
definitively that a belief that all 3 of those guys will be gone is not correct. But it's still a long way to go.
Well,
this
I
season.
guess we'll see if it's me being right or the ether being correct.
You can't.
Big moment.
Why would you bet against the ether?
I believe in myself.
Well,
Big bet on myself, guys.
That's true. What about Jim Knowles? What'd you make of that conversation?
He likes to say like that he's not comfortable, and every time we ask him like, "How happy are you with how well you're playing?" He's always like, "I'm not happy." I think if he gave us some truth serum, he'd be pretty happy with the way that group is playing right now. There are definitely things to clean up, like third and short. Actually, they have not been particularly good. Third and anything else, they've been great, but third and short has been a little bit of a bugaboo for them. But I think he has a really good feel for what these guys can do, what adjustments need to be made, when to ratchet up that aggression, when to pull it back, when to show disguises, when to actually do stuff. Like, I think he's hitting a lot of the right buttons right now, and just has a lot of confidence in what they're able to do.
I'm trying to figure out this metaphor in my head about what I think about Jim Knowles.
Let's workshop it.
Jim Knowles to me is a guy who goes to the doctor, right? And they say, look, you need to make some serious life changes. Otherwise, you're going to die, right? And they're like, we need you to exercise all the time, eat a lot healthier, don't drink, don't do all the stuff that everyone likes to do, right? Then 6 months later, they see him and the doctor's like, man, you look great. You're in perfect condition. This is an incredible turnaround. How do you feel? I feel terrible. I want a damn beer. I think that's the guy. Like, what you're doing is best for you, but I don't think it feels good because his nature is to attack. And I think that it's like, it must be difficult for a guy who's that established in his career to have spent this much time building this reputation to have to go, damn it, I cannot have that steak,
Well, if he sold him the trophy at the end of the year instead of a steak, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe then he'll be happy about it. But until then, you're just constantly like,
It's just him holding the trophy, just like real pissed off.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
I can't believe we're here.
Cigar.
Well, I don't think he stopped
Doctor
smoking
calls
cigars.
and if he was at the haunted house last night.
That's probably how he's surviving, is that he's still got his cigars and he's winning every game, which he...
Yeah. I mean, he's doing the right things. I wanted to ask him today. I didn't get a chance to, but the question of, as a coordinator, you're watching everything in practice. You're not as drilled down with each individual group. How much input does Jim Knowles actually have in what's going on with Larry Johnson's group, with the linebackers, with Perry Eliano's group, with Tim Walton's group? Like, I want to know on a granular level how much actual conversation they're having about that. Because I'm sitting here, it's October the 10th. The defensive line's been good. I'm not going to even say that they're not. But, like, how does Mitchell Melton not play in that game on Saturday? Like, number one, he's from Maryland, okay? So it's like there's that like aspect of things that normally Ohio State's like, oh, you're playing your home team, you got a bunch of people. Like, how does he not play in this game? He's played like 2 snaps all year. Like,
they were pretty good too.
So let's just mix things up a little bit. That's all. And I want to know how much input he actually has or how much input Ryan Day actually has in this, because it seems to me like there's just there's a handful of guys like, why is that guy not playing? I don't even get it. And then there's nothing wrong with them. But
it doesn't seem, the way that Jim Knowles talks about it, that he is meddling with Larry Johnson's lineup.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I get it. Again, the defensive line's playing well. I'm not criticizing the current group. I just think that you can add more to it. Like if here we are going into week 7, game 6, like you have an opportunity to add some wrinkles with guys like Mitchell Melton, who
Sprinkle a little curry on it.
Sprinkle a little curry on it, put a little
pepper.
put a little melting pot in there and sprinkle a little curry on it. And you have an opportunity to do different things. And as you're getting further into the year, like that's how you do what he says. It's like stay unpredictable. Like let's throw something else out
Maybe
there.
he's saving it.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
You're going to drop the fondue package on him against Penn State.
Fondue.
Spicy. Put a little spice in the pepper.
A little too spicy for the pepper.
All right.
I like Jim Knowles. I just like listening to the guy talk football. I really do appreciate it.
He was asked about why CJ Hicks is not playing. The answer is older guys in front of him who have played a lot of football and are productive. Take that for whatever you want to, I guess.
Then consider that Sonny Styles is playing a lot, and he's younger than CJ Hicks, and
Sonny did not have a Tommy and Steele in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly makes it more difficult. But I was going to ask, that was my first thought today, was to ask, like, hey, in the spring you said he's on the cusp of a breakout season.
They're going to unleash him.
They're going to unleash him, and now he's still leashed and, like, doing a good job on special teams. Like, he's active, he plays fast and aggressive out there. But, like, I want to know what steps is he not hitting? Because it was...
I think the point is that it doesn't have anything to do with that.
I know, but he said specifically, well, Cody's earned more reps, which says Cody Simon's earned more reps and he's getting them, which to me, on the inverse, smack it up, flip it, rub it down, is that CJ Hicks has not earned more reps. So why not?
Are you making love to information? Is that?
I'm saying smack it up, flip it, rub it down. CJ Hicks did not get said, well, he's earned more snaps. We just have to get them to him. That's different than saying he's ready to go if we need him.
Yeah. But the part of the need is the most important part of all of that, because you have Tommy, Steele, and Cody Simon.
I know.
And he doesn't, the PFF grades don't necessarily agree with Jim Knowles still being comfortable. Like, the linebacker play came up again as one of the many areas of this team that could potentially be improved, or as a negative for a 5-0 team. But, like, they're not worried about it. Steel Chambers talked about eye discipline coming out of Notre Dame. Like, did he have the best game on Saturday against Maryland? No. Missed a tackle, and he wound up getting benched. So there was a need in that game, and Jim Knowles put Cody Simon in it. I don't think that this is a situation where he is so entrenched with Tommy and Steele the way that he might have been last year that he refuses to put any other people in the game. No. Because he just did that on Saturday.
I just want to see 37-17, 8 minutes to go in the game. That's the time. 10 minutes in the game. Like, it's time. Put him out there and see what he can do. That's all.
He needs to play more because he's going to play a lot.
Right.
Like that. And I guess they haven't, with the exception of Western Kentucky, they haven't had the 50-10 game where you definitely do that stuff. But up by 20 against Maryland with 10 minutes left, I think is fairly
Think about how much Tommy Eichenberg and Steel Chambers played in 2021 when they were very bad, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know you're not in the same position now, but those guys are valuable now because they played, maybe even though they weren't ready to. Sometimes you just have to trust the guys to go out there and do what they do. So,
what else were they going to do?
That's my point. Like, I know you have options now, but there is a benefit to getting guys on the field and saying, okay, well, now's your opportunity. We head into the fourth quarter. It's 27-17. You can afford to put him out there for a series and see what happens in that situation.
Maybe he's also part of the fondue package.
All they can really do is keep swinging day after day. That's all that really matters, and that's the theme for Snappy Jays, brought to you by Byers Auto on a Tuesday in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center of Purdue Week. Thanks for joining us for that breakdown. Let us know how you feel or how wrong I am about the tenor of that press conference and everything else. Yeah, text that to me. I love hearing when I'm wrong, and that happens a lot. That's Bill Landis and Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. We'll talk to you later.